A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. On behalf of the University, we welcome you all to the panel discussion of Industry Connect series organized by Center for Placements and Career Guidance in collaboration with Alumni Relations Team MBA program under the banner of School of Business and Management. I, Olivia Hazra from MBA first year, will be your host for the day. Good management is the art of making problems so interesting and the solutions so constructive that everyone wants to get to work and deal with them. And one thing that makes an institution great is the number of friendships and memories created by past students. This is why alumni associations are important. They help provide a voice on behalf of former students and even present ones, an identity to help encourage engagement and collaboration between past students, and the ability to create events that unite the different classes of graduates. The strength of an alumni association lies in the quantity and the quality of engagement from its members. Now, without taking much time, I would now request Dr. Jacob Joseph, Faculty Coordinator, Alumni Relations, School of Business and Management, MBA program, Christ deemed to be University, to introduce a moderator for today's panel discussion.
Very good afternoon and warm welcome to each one of you gathered here. Guests, esteemed faculty members, and dear Christites. I'm in the midst of a galaxy of outstanding personalities who have imprinted their personalities in their respective domain of management. And the interesting aspect of all this are they are Christites. Each one of them walked out of the portal of Christ University with an MBA certificate. I'm sure all of them are still possess the true spirit of a Christite. For every academic institution, the alumni, they are the backbone of all academic engagements, be it in a curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular, and even board of studies. In that context, I place on record the contributions rendered by our alumni in the past is outstanding, no doubt about that. The young audience, the aspirants of MBA, I'm sure this is the best opportunity for you to interact with the people who spend their quality time in the campus, interacted with their professors, participated actively in all activities, and now they came out with flying colors. I'm sure you will have a lot of takeaways out of this panel discussion. I wish you the very best for all your endeavors. We have 6 members on the dais. One among them would be the moderator for the session. My responsibility is to introduce the moderator for the session, Mr. Shindo Joseph, and later he will introduce the other panel members. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shindo Joseph is currently the president of Alumni Associations at Christ School of Business and Management. He is an expression of all our alumni activities. He joined here in the first batch of MBA as a fresh engineering graduate. Then he jumped into the turbulent industry market conditions. He has over 26 years long and rich experience in diverse technology-related ecosystems. Currently, he is the Director of Southeast Asia Operations, LDRA. I'm sure we will not get a better person than him to moderate this session. Once again, a warm welcome, Mr. Shindo Joseph. Over to you.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to one and all present
For me, it
here.
is the same
On
way
behalf of
I
Christ
left
deemed to be
1997.
University, we welcome you
Every
all
year and
to
I
the
come
panel
back,
discussion
I come
of
back with the same
Industry
spirit.
Connect series
So I sit with the same
organized
spirit
by
even
Center
now.
for Placements
If you look at
and
my
Career
panel
Guidance
members,
in
each one
collaboration
is
with
unique.
Alumni
Not
Relations
even one
Team
person is a
MBA
duplicate of the
program
other
under the
person. So
banner of School
we
of
will
Business
talk
and
about them
Management. I,
as we go
Olivia
forward.
Hazra from MBA
The
first
topic we
year,
have
will
is
be your host for
aspirations
the
and
day.
expectations from
Good
management education.
management is the art of making
It
problems
talks about
so
both
interesting
sides.
and the solutions so
If you are
constructive that
going to be a
everyone wants
student
to get
looking
to
for a
work and
management
deal with
education,
them.
what are
And
your
one thing that
aspirations?
makes an
We
institution
also
great
will
is the number
discuss
of friendships and
typically from a
memories
corporate
created
angle.
by past
When you are
students.
looking for a
This
career,
is why alumni
what the
associations are
corporates are also looking
important.
for.
They help provide a voice on behalf
And
of former students
when we
and
did the
even
promo
present ones, an
flyers, you would have
identity
seen we
to
were
help
supposed to
and
just repeat that.
collaboration between past
Management
students
profession,
and
both
the ability
Indian
to
and global
create
scenario.
events that
Management
unite the
education,
different classes
myths
of
and
graduates. The
realities.
strength of
Career
an
growth
alumni
opportunities.
association
Study in
lies in the
India versus
quantity
abroad.
and the
And how
quality
to
of
prepare for MBA.
engagement from its
But
members.
other than that, I
Now,
thought we
without
should
taking much
discuss a
time,
couple of
I would now
more
request
aspects also
Dr.
during this
Jacob
discussion.
Joseph, Faculty
First of all,
Coordinator,
why
Alumni
MBA,
Relations,
right?
School of Business and Management,
Second,
MBA program, Christ deemed to be
how
university,
MBA is
to
different from other
introduce a
courses.
moderator for today's panel discussion.
Very good afternoon and warm welcome to each one of you gathered here. Distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, and dear Christites. I'm in the midst of a galaxy of outstanding personalities who have imprinted their personalities in their respective domain of management. And the interesting aspect of all this are they are Christites. Each one of them walked out of the portal of Christ University with an MBA certificate. I'm sure all of them are still possess the true spirit of a Christite. For every academic institution, the alumni, they are the backbone of all academic engagements, co-curricular, extracurricular, and even board of studies. In that context, I place on record the contributions rendered by our alumni in the past is outstanding, no doubt about that. The young audience, the aspirants of MBA, I'm sure this is the best opportunity for you to interact with the people who spend their quality time in the campus, interacted with their professors, participated actively in all activities, and now they came out with flying colors. I'm sure you will have a lot of takeaways out of this panel discussion. I wish you the very best for all your endeavors. We have 6 members on the dais. One among them would be the moderator for the session. My responsibility is to introduce the moderator for the session, Mr. Shindo Joseph, and later he will introduce the other panel members. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Shindo Joseph is currently of Alumni Associations at Christ School of Business and Management. He is an expression of all our alumni activities. He joined here in the first batch of MBA as a fresh engineering graduate. Then he jumped into the turbulent industry market conditions. He has over 26 years long and rich experience in diverse technology-related ecosystems. Currently, he is the Director of Southeast Asia Operations, LDRA. I'm sure we will not get a better person than him to moderate this session. Once again, a warm welcome, Mr. Shindo Joseph. Over to you.
When we talk about, coming back to our own campus, for me, it is the same way. I left 1997. Every year and I come back with the same spirit. So I sit with the same spirit even now. If you look at my panel members, each one is unique. Not even one person is a duplicate of the other person. So we will talk about them as we go forward. The topic we have is aspirations and expectations from management education. which talks about both sides. If you are going to be a student looking for a management education, what are your aspirations? We also will discuss, typically from a corporate angle, when you are looking for a career, what the corporates are also looking for. And when we did the promo flyers, you would have seen we were supposed to discuss 4 or 5 aspects. I'll just repeat that. Management profession, both Indian and global scenario, management education, myths and realities, career growth opportunities, study in India versus abroad, and how to prepare for MBA. But other than that, I thought we should discuss a couple of more aspects also during this discussion. First of all, why MBA, right? Second, how MBA is different from other courses, right? According to me, MBA is a course designed for creating decision makers. If that is the case, it should be a horizontal course. But the way it is being promoted and discussed everywhere is a specialization course. We'll discuss that part also, how that works in your career on a long-term basis. The most important thing is when you're looking at your career, what is that you should be looking at? Should we work for your passion or should we work for a purpose for your life or a period? And finally, when you're going to decide on an MBA course, what all you should be considering. For me, the first thing which comes to my mind is the pedigree of the institution, the brand you were going to study. That's the first thing which matters. Second, the opportunities that will bring you. Along with that, one more thing, the opportunity cost. You all studied costing, right? Opportunity cost means when you opted a particular institution or a particular course, you also had other options, right? So what does it mean for you? And finally, you also look at the ROI, the return on investment. You have invested your time, your money, resources. In return, what are you getting? In terms of, when I say ROI, I repeat, your time, the money, the resources, what you are putting, are you getting the right return? So these are the things which comes to me as a commercial person. I mean, today I'm on the other side of the game. Whenever I do something, I do this, thinking of this sort of thinking. So let me turn, my job is actually, I will be using this forum to get the best out of my panel. The whole discussion, we have structured in such a way that we are not going to use any PPT, no long discussions. More than 70 to 80%, it will be opportunity to ask questions, right? From the beginning, we're going to start that format. So I'm going to start with the first panelist, Maya. Maya is from the first batch. In fact, I belong to the second batch. She did her MBA in 94, 96. That's the time. I joined here in 95. I had a great opportunity to be part of her interactions those days. She worked over a period with Indian companies, moved over a period to multinationals. Today, she is a marketing and communication director at Hitachi Vantara. It is the IT consulting arm of Hitachi. It is an American company, even though Hitachi is from Japan. So let's hear from Maya, what opportunities exist in marketing career in today's perspective, her version. Maya, it's all yours.
Thank you, Shinto. Yeah, like Shinto says, I did my MBA, I think more than 25 years ago from Christ College. And it really is, grounding to reach where I am today. And when I see all of you, some of you might go on to do your MBA for various reasons or choose another career, another course, which I'm sure interests you. It's what you choose, your passion and what you want to do. Specifically, as Shinto says, on a management education and and for marketing specialization, an MBA is more of a generalist course. That's how I look at it. It's horizontal. It teaches you management. It teaches you discipline And it gives you a whole lot of choices when you come out of it. You might specialize in marketing or finance or HR, and yes, 1 year you will do that. But it still gives you a more horizontal view of entering the business world. And if specifically we talk about marketing, because I'm the marketing director at Hitachi, and I'm most experienced to talk about that. In marketing itself, if you specialize in that, you have a host of avenues available to you. So you could get into sales, you could get into marketing, you could get into the different aspects of marketing. And here I just like to stop and say, you know, when I see young people coming out of college and ask them if they come for an interview, what do you want to do? You hear things like, I want to do strategy. I want to do, which really is something you will do after 10, 15 years. So what you should be looking for are opportunities where you can learn, where you join a company that is going to invest in you. Don't look at it so much for the money. Of course, we all want to look for money. We do work for money. That is a ground reality, and no one wants to work for free. But look at the opportunities where you can learn, and you can learn a lot of things. So you should be able to learn, say, sales. You should learn a bit of marketing. You can learn a little bit of finance. And really, there is no limit. When you join a company, when you start as a management graduate, and you know, we have something called management trainee. I'm sure that's still there, right? Management trainee as such. A management trainee is, as the word depicts, a management trainee. You're training in everything to do with management, and that's the time you pick up. And I would encourage people not to get specialists and say, I want to only join digital marketing, or I want to go specialist in social media and sit behind a laptop. You need to go out in the field. You need to meet customers, pick customer-facing jobs, pick sales jobs where you can talk to people, and that's where the greatest learning is.
So I think she opened up the topic in a nice way. Uh, Olden days, a fresher called me, an MBA graduate. He said, I want to join your company. For what? I got a turnaround strategy for you. I said, you're a fresher, you don't know what, do you know what I'm doing? No, I will turn around. That's exactly my problem. I'm really worried about you will really turn me around. So sorry, I don't have a place for you. So I'm just talking about continuing what she was saying, that there is a room for strategy, but after learning what we are supposed to do. So we'll turn towards the next man, Andy Singh. When I talk about him, I used to work with him as the Alumni POC way back in 2010. Those days I was Alumni president. Those days I took a break after that and came back. Whenever I wanted to get something in the campus, I just need to call this fellow. Angad, and Andy, this need to be done. Done. It used to happen. So I was very sure one day this fellow will start own business. And he proved it. He worked for, I think, Tally for some time, and then straight away got into his own story. He set up a company in Canada. Today, I think he has got people across the globe. And now he runs his business out of US, a company called Tech Focus. Even some Christites also work there. That's the beauty of this organization. So, Andy, I want to hear from you. What is your journey? How did you start? And really helped you to climb this ladder?
Thanks, Shinto. It's an honor to be here with you while I was on the other side of the forum trying to organize alumni to come down. Today I'm an alumni coming down and talking about how my journey is paced out after Christ. But I just want to touch few minutes on my background, where I come from, so that you get an idea of what all shaped into what I've become today, if in small bits and pieces of entrepreneurship journey that I've taken. I come from a very small town. 3 generations of small businessmen are my family roots. In Bihar, later on became Jharkhand, so a unique place where you see less Sikhs there. People think I'm from Punjab, I'm not from there. And I could sense a bit of business in my home itself, which shaped some ideas of what I want to do in my life. But then club that with some professional education that happened through engineering and MBA. The true journey started off in MBA actually. I remember when I was looking to join an MBA college, because that was the time of recession, 2008-9, I realized I would like to be in a city where I could get an opportunity to experiment what I learned in the college to go out and do it in the field. I was very clear if I can learn a marketing course and do a small internship in the field, I would be able to correlate. I'll start with a very interesting story, which turnaround of Shinto referred to as fresher. I had that experience during my internship itself. I did close to 6, 7 internships, and there's a story behind all of them, and some of my colleagues and people would know how it all happened. So in one of the internship with Hero, a massive study in off times, weekends, went down to the top executives in Hero and gave them a turnaround strategy. And the bosses over there, after 2 minutes of presentation, were dozing. Like, okay. And then that gave me an idea that from college, what we learn in books is very different to what happens on the ground, on the field. Each of those internships that I could do could teach me around what I'm learning in the sales in the classroom to what I'm doing sales in the field by going in some conferences, by doing some work with a company called KPMG, by doing some startup worlds. And all of that helped because our professors out here could sense individual talents and curiosity and club that with what they wanted to teach us. So we found right mentors in the college also. And the courses out here, which were either with finance, as generalist we call it, I was doing a marketing specialization, but in the first year we had finance, we had HR, we had operations, we had so many projects that I could leverage our one batch juniors to work it on together and learn the skill of handling teams and building teams. After all of that, the biggest pressure came in was folks like Shinto would always ask us, when are you starting your own? And I was not sure what I want to start of my own. So that level of challenge was always there because we wanted to do something, but what to do? And in those times, startup was not very common. There was not very forums where you could go and experiment your startup, have co-founders and things like that, which has mushroomed in Bangalore now. But we were lucky enough to experiment enough to know what we that as a process, and a couple of years working in the corporate world, I could take all these learnings of all the classrooms and start something very small. And when that very small started to scale was when I went abroad to stayed for a few years in UK, Europe, stayed in Canada, stayed in US, and then realized business was scaling and there was multicultural knowledge required, which we could learn during college days in the books, but could not experiment it until I went out. We had few other courses out there in MBA, which was with Germany, with US. We could sense some idea out there, but when doing business, we could correlate with them. Then came the challenge of scaling. Like 5 years was setting it up, next 5 years was scaling. Now is a different time. Now we're looking at building a foundation which can take us to next level. There are other challenges of investments, the challenges of M&A. All of those subjects that we studied in college is now coming back. I'm not a finance guy, but I'm dangerous enough to talk to our CFO and ask the right set of questions. Because of those balance sheets, or BS as we call it in our days, we used to see and read and profit and loss statements. And then when our companies were scaling up, we could read some of those. So when you correlate our entrepreneurship journey and you correlate the studies and the subjects that we have in college, I think the generalist and the specialization all come together very well. And that was so far my story of 10 years, leaving college in 2011, building the company in 2012-13, and last 1 decade. The global phenomena comes into picture and those exposures. I would like to summarize this with 2 or 3 things. Whatever you study in an MBA, if you can do it during those 2 years in the field, and you get an opportunity to do those projects because there's so many projects that people want resources to do it, is a right combination of doing an MBA for your entrepreneurship journey. Yeah.
Great. I think that's the right thing. I mean, one more thing which I would strongly recommend is, even in companies like ours, we are looking for entrepreneurial managers. Okay? It's not just entrepreneurship alone. Companies are looking for entrepreneurial managers who can take risk, own a business plan and execute it. So that needs a slightly different thinking. You know, if you think like a marketing guy, an HR guy, not going to happen. I started in sales and marketing, and today I head an MNC. 90% of my time is on finance, tax laws, contracts, and the rest of the time I spend on, marketing people, sales people, because sales number also matters. So that's a turnaround that, if you really want to grow or climb the ladder, make sure that you are a generalist. Even though you're starting with some specialization, is fine. We will discuss that part. When you compare some of the MBA programs abroad, they don't have this specialization concept at all. They of business administration. That's it. And then you start off in the industry, you find the way you want to grow. So here, that's the way it runs. Here we have this so-called specialization, but that's fine. Both has got its an advantage and disadvantage. We will discuss that part also. You might have some queries. Keep your questions ready. We are open to take up all kind of questions because we have the right people here. With this background, let me turn towards the next man, Vishal. Vishal passed out from Christ in 2012. He had an interesting journey. He worked with a series of great companies, including Mindtree, later on to Tata's. Before that, even I think Unilever. So, a bunch of great brands where his story is a bit different from the rest of the guys. At that time, the concept of analytics was not there. He started off in a different world, and today is a totally different guy and deeply involved in our analytics program. An interesting part is our business analytics program in Christ is relatively new, but it's a happening course. Mostly the credit should go to the alumni people. And most of these alumni guys are originally started in some other field. Some started in finance, some started in sales and marketing. So right now, he's associate director at Cargill, again in charge of analytics. Let's hear from him, his journey and what opportunity, especially what opportunity exists in analytics field today.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Chinto. Hi, everyone. So maybe a bit of a background again. Why did I land into analytics? And specifically, why the food industry is so close to me? So I come from a Sindhi background where they have their own business. And I used to ask my dad that this customer, he's not been ordering us for last 1 month, right? Like what kind of products he sell. Why can't you just directly dispatch him? He's like, no, my money will get blocked there, etc., etc. I said, do we have a record maybe somewhere in system? And this is the question I used to ask him in 2003 and 4. As an elder person in the family, you need to take care of the business things when you are from a Sindhi family. So I used to say, do we have his 5-year history? Can I see like what products he has been ordering? What's his credit limits, etc.? He used to say, you don't need to concentrate on that. On the days when I used to be on the counter, just take the orders, whoso guy is coming, take the cash, rest dispatch, I'll get it done. I said, okay, that's the way the business used to work. And I wanted to do something different, so I joined the corporate before MBA for 3 years, where I was luckily into the analytics field. So I was working for a 3PL in the north part of India, and I was the kind of an Excel guy for the north sales head, into supply chain reporting, into sales reporting. So the numbers used to be on my tips. The sales head used to ask, what's the sales for our next have achieved? What's the percentage? What's the DSO? So those things started attracting me at that point of time. And he was also fascinated that better than me, this guy knows where my region right now is standing in terms of the numbers. So then I thought to do an MBA after that, and luckily I got placed with Mindtree, and Mindtree from the day one said me, you love the food industry, you have been into that, so Unilever is the client. And I was with them. And that's where my journey started in data analytics. Now, one part which I am really privileged of, data analytics cuts across all the domains in the organization. In my last 10 years journey, I have worked with HR analytics, predicting which are the critical employees who can leave the company and how we can try to stop them. I've worked in sales analytics in levers where we have built up a P&L at the lowest level of hierarchy of a product and the sales channel, so that I see that which channel is something that I should invest more versus which channel is something that I should start making it to a next level or start removing the funds therefrom. So that's the opportunity we have it. On the second side, it also helps me to learn a lot about the different streams. Maybe I'm not an HR expert, right? But when I learn the processes, then only I can design something analytics on top of it. Until you know the domain about it, it's difficult for you to understand what your customer needs while looking at that dashboard, right? So that's my journey, have been into the data analytics space, and specifically the food space where the market is, say, the agile. And you would have seen how we have moved from last 10 years, where we used to go to the restaurants and now it's all on Zomato, right? So that's on the data analytics side from an opportunities perspective, Shinto, and The opportunities are huge.
You said, you use analytics to predict who would leave. I'm sure you would have helped the management to find what these guys are really doing, the screen time, what they're really watching, and who eats more in our canteen. All sort of things, the analytics people, we should be careful, right? What kind of data they submit to the management dashboard. Sorry, we don't do that in my company. Now, let's turn to our next man. We have Anvin Verghese. He is currently Vice President at Wells Fargo, it's a banking division. Now, very interesting about Anvin is he's the one who spent at least 6-7 years in Christ, right?
9 years.
Yeah, 9 years. There you are. So his journey is pretty long. He did multiple courses, and currently, what caught my attention is, in industry there is something called, people are talking about midlife career crisis. Seniors are not required. That is a challenge people are facing in the industry. And here is somebody who halfway through in his career, executive MBA with us. He completed in 2021, if I'm correct. I want to hear from you that what made you to do that, and where do you see from a tech background, from a pure tech background, when you move to an MBA, what are the challenges and opportunities?
Thank you, Shito. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, friends. My name is Anvin. So, first of all, I would want to thank Dr. Jacob, sir, for inviting me here. Thank you, sir. And I'm humbled, actually, in the midst of all these well-known panelists, right? So, even though the speakers before me told that they are different, I truly feel that I am the different one here, right? So, I would like to explain that. So, I am passed out from the 2005-2008 batch of BSc. So I passed out of BSc. I was a fresh graduate, and 2008 was a recession period. I hope you all can understand the recession period. I think we are going through one right now as we speak, right? So back then we didn't have jobs, and it was very difficult to get in. And I got a break in Capgemini thanks to the brand of Christ, right? So I got into Capgemini. I started my career. I was into support, IT support. I slowly built my career into automations, moved multiple companies after that, was in Wipro. I moved into Yardley. Then I moved into Target, Intel, and a lot of companies, right? So over the years, I've worked over a lot of technical aspects of the organization. So basically, I was into IT, right? I know you guys won't relate to the term IT because you're all management students, right? Or aspiring to be management. But then the thing that any work, right? Any task, anything that we do as part of profession is actually part of a bigger umbrella called business, right? So whenever there is a need for a task to be done, there is a prioritization that happens. Prioritization is very important. So how does the prioritization happen? It depends on the value proposition, right? The value proposition is the key word here. So how do we do value proposition, right? So whenever the business thinks that this particular task will provide the maximum value, that's when the budget is allotted to that particular project, right? So as a fresher, I wouldn't know all these things. I simply took the task, I finished the task well. That's why I didn't get fired, right? So I completed the task and I finished it. Over the years, I learned well with my technical skills, but never understood this prioritization thing, right? I never understood the business side of things. And slowly, once my career grew, I had the requirement to know it because we had to pitch in business ideas. We had to bring in projects so that we could get work, right? So there came in the need to know how do you do a business pitch. So thanks to the opportunities in MBA Executive, where we had programs like Zest, we had a TED program as well, which taught me how to do a pitch in project management, right? A business pitch, a business case. How do you prepare a business case? So things like that. So that helped me in my career, and especially if you see with respect to the MBA executive program, it's a total different beast. You said in foreign universities, MBA executive is the most wanted course rather than the regular MBA. The reason being, you not just learn from the faculty, you also learn from your peers, your students, because they come from different backgrounds, right? You get entrepreneurs, you get folks from different domains, you feed off them, you learn of them. So it's actually you're paying so little for the experience of a lifetime, right? So MBA Executive is a unique platform, and hence the initial quote that I am truly different compared to all the others in this stage.
The interesting part is he didn't say how much hike he got after his MBA, right? There's a saying, right? In our organization also, people say, MBAs make money. We work, engineers. So there is a problem in the industry, but we don't agree to that. We survive because of that. Now, the interesting part is every organization run because of these IT-based systems. Without IT-based systems, you cannot run an organization. Today, I'm able to sit here because of that. Otherwise, I should have been running behind my people. So, and most of the time, they are not in limelight, but without them, organizations will not run. Any other team can disappear, but without these guys, company will be shut. So that's a background about him. As you more to be done with people who are currently working. They have a bigger future, brighter future if they can think about adding some value in this direction. Now let's turn towards another interesting personality. One of our students from final year MBA batch. Why we invited her is she is actually more or less a mirror replica of each one of you sitting there. She went through the same struggle about planning about what to do. If I'm correct, you did your BCom in Christ itself. So she was seeing this program running here, went through a lot of analytics about what to do, what not to do, and finally went through the journey. I want to hear from you that, what you did, how you went about deciding on that here is Christ, I want to study, that whole journey, what you did.
Thank you for the introduction, sir. So when I decided to do an MBA, when I decided that this is the next step in my career, I decided there were certain specific expectations that I had set. So the first thing was I wanted a master's perspective about my field of interest, and my field of interest lies in finance. So I wanted to learn more and upskill myself through a master's program. That is one thing that I wanted to do. Another aspect that I wanted to, that I considered while picking on an MBA college was the exposure I get. So what kind of exposure I got would depend on the, would build on my work in the long term, or will affect my career that I'm just starting off being a fresher in the industry. And also the opportunities I get. As I mentioned, I'm a fresher, so the initial opportunities that I would get would depend on the university that I was associated with. So these were some of the specific factors that I considered, and I understood that after multiple researches, I understood that Christ would continue to be a good opportunity for me to grow.
We are now open for questions, right? If you have any questions, please, you can even tell whom you want to ask. Nayeto, I will probably look at the expertise of the person and then I will direct the question.
Can you tell us in detail how differently a company would treat a BBA graduate compared to a...
It's very simple. If you look at the structure of the course in MBA, my daughter is studying MBA, I know what they're studying. You also touch base of almost all the topics, basics you study. But the moment you go to MBA, what would happen is you are being trained to take decisions. That's the biggest advantage you would get. How to take decisions, how to work collaboratively with multiple people, how to plan things, how to present things. So from a more of a theoretical subject point of view, things will completely change. Now, in most of the B schools, especially in Christ, I know since I'm there in the academic council and curriculum review committee, he has more of case studies. So the fundamentals of they may not even discuss the theory part in the class. So there's a big difference in the pedagogy, the approach that they follow. Anybody else would like to add? I hope I answered your question, right? Yeah, thank you.
My question is on the management aspect. Is all since from the industry experts you are there. Like, is it good to actually take a gap year or a skip after undergraduate and then go for an MBA, or is it like good enough to actually just continue with your MBA immediately after your BBA degree?
See, there are pros and cons of both of it, right? If you skip after your graduation, right, and there's a dilemma in mind, shall I prepare for it or not? At the end of the day, I am getting my bank account filled every month, right, which is feeding me out. I do prepare up, and in that journey, I get a hike or I get a next job. The motivation goes down. So if I would have been there, and I've done that as well. I was working with my BCom in those days, and I had a clear objective to cut across the levels of education that I need to have it and then get into the corporate. So that's what my, I would say the thought will be. Complete your education, get into the corporate, and if you take a break and come back for an MBA, it's also a little bit difficult for you to get engrossed and follow that same level of discipline schedule that you already have it. So those are certain things which you will encounter if you take a break, because we also had few people in our batch experience. The discipline of study and the discipline and the routine and the things that is there, right? That is something which I feel is challenging if you take a break. But yeah, people do cross through that as well. So it's your personal call to take it. My personal call would be to continue the education, complete that up, and then go into the industry after that.
So there is no one size that fits all, right? So it's similar to that. The answer to the question that you raised, right? That should I continue my studies or should I take a break? The thing is, when you start off as a fresher, you're looking at your base skills, right? So as anyone here, you would know what your base skills are, right? For me, for example, my base skills is in technology, right? So if you are a BBA student, you should have some base skill that you are good at, right? Now, if you aren't yet, then MBA is the best bet for you to get good at that. So maybe you could do MBA specialization at a certain facet, which would give you that base skill to be employed, right? So that should be a passion. For example, it could be MBA in HR. It could be MBA in marketing. It could be MBA in any kind of specialization, be it analytics, the latest ones, right? So that should be your passion and that should be your base skill. Now, when you're coming, when you're say a job for 2-3 years, right? Then what you're trying to do is not your base skill. You're trying to get into be a MBA generalist, right? I hope you're getting the difference. So if you want to get employed, you should be good at a base skill. So if you think yourself that you are good at it, go for a job. If you think, no, I still need to hone my base skills, go for an MBA. That's the answer.
I'm currently doing my psychology and economics. So I have a question for Vishal sir, and I am currently interested to get into business analytics as a field in general. So do you have any tips and advice for someone trying to get into that field? So yeah.
So piece of advice, if you're good in numbers, that's where you know that that's my taste is, or that's what my preference should be. I do take up certain sessions for MBA grads, and I'll be very honest, I see people are not good in Excel even now. Nowadays, Excel is no more a choice. The world has gone beyond that, right? And it will be very sooner where the industry will expect you to even know the tools like Power BI and Tableau, something like which was Excel and Word way back. So just to get I would say an edge, if you can get some time, start. They're all UX and UI based, which is on the basis of clicks. The world of coding has gone, And nowadays, it's all on the simple UI and UX. Start playing with them, start watching the videos on YouTube on what this tool is all about. That will give you an edge. And if you have an edge on that, you have a content to speak when you are sitting in your internship or you are sitting in your interview. If you have a content to speak, that's where you engage the person who's sitting on the opposite side. And he knows that you're best in it. So that would be my mantra. Do something extra to get an edge. And if you want to get into analytics, you cannot get away from technology. Start getting that flavor within yourself like your dinner or a lunch.
I will add one more thing because this is based on some of my observations. I do career counseling workshops. Some of the mistakes people do with this domain is there are two aspects called one is analytics, the other one is data science. People jump into data science without knowing the depth of the water. And ideally, that is a cup of tea for engineers. Leave that to engineers. We can do a better job with analytics. And irrespective of whether you are a techie or non-techie, analytics is for all. And there more number of jobs are available. Don't cross to the other side. So even look at our syllabus here. Last year I was part of the review committee and I was happy to see we moved completely towards analytics. That's what an MBA should focus on. Yeah, further queries? Anybody?
This question is to Maya ma'am and Andy sir. I'm doing my BCom honors currently. I'm in my first year. I have two questions. So first one is, what are the best skills to upskill on as I finish my undergrad? And second question is, what is the ideal time to do your MBA? As in, do I directly finish or do I go get some work experience and then do it from a good B school? This is primarily in terms of growth in the corporate itself.
Yeah, I think they just spoke about whether you should do your MBA immediately after or take a break, and there's no right answer to that. If you're clear about what you want to do after your graduation, then try it. If you get a job, work for a couple of years, and then maybe you're clearer of whether I want to do higher. A lot of people don't know what they want to do after graduation. And then doing your MBA right after probably gives you some insight. After 1 year, then you specialize in something, you do your internship. So for me, I didn't know what I was going to do. I only knew I didn't want to do engineering or medicine. And so I did my graduation. Then after that, what do I want to do? Okay, I'll do my MBA. And by then, you're a little older. So the MBA gives you a lot of opportunity, and you're starting to talk to people, and you do 2 internships. At that time, we did 2 internships. And then when I was actually in the corporate world, and I got an experience talking to people there, that's when I realized I want to do advertising, which was, people said you didn't have to do an MBA to get into advertising, but I did my training there. And when I joined an ad agency, I went as a management trainee. Now, it was because I did an MBA. Otherwise, you just join straight and they put you into one of the departments. And there were people there who were already working. They had 2 years experience. And I was reporting to somebody who was actually same age as me. And I actually felt, I wasted 2 years doing my MBA. She's already account manager. And now I'm management trainee under her. But the thing is, because of, and thanks to Christ because I did it here, your growth is much faster. You absorb quickly, and then you just move up the ladder. So I did a stint in advertising, then I moved to public relations, and then I felt, okay, these are some facets of marketing, and then I moved into an overall marketing function. And that's when I say you can't jump into a role straight away. You gather your experience slowly, and then you've got like the whole marketing experience, and then you can be a marketing manager in a corporate.
My name is Rishabh, and I'm currently pursuing my undergrad in commerce, BCom. So my question was, does the name of the university put some weight in the actual field that you're working? And the second aspect is, with the growing influence of AI, how do you think it's going to affect MBA in the future and its job prospects?
Well, from my opinion, what impacts in the name side is your name and your efforts and your work. And of course, the pedigree that you've got in the college. I believe that's the name of the university for an MBA is an entry point. Later on, it's the individual who comes out from the university is what makes the maximum difference when they go. The second aspect that you have touched briefly around AI, ML, and on jobs of MBA and marketing and operations in HR. I believe AI and ML is touching every aspect of every business. And when it touches business, it touches all the functions, and MBA plays parts in every function, whether it's HR, operations, marketing, and we can pick up any use cases. For example, I was referring to a use case put together by our alumni who works in the HR department. And I'm primarily touching HR because none of us has focused a bit on the discussion around there. And in that HR department, she used Chat GPT and asked Chat GPT to help me organize an event. And the Chat GPT gave her the entire response, which she later on collected it, consolidated it, made a presentation out of it, and created an event in the organization. Now, can ChatGPT do all of its own? No. They still need an experienced HR to ask the right questions, take that information in, consolidate it, and then execute it by human interaction. So there are definitely going to be certain roles which are going to be requiring to upskill, and there are going to be certain roles where AI will play a lot of additional items. And I'll give you an example, another one which just came to me because my flight was delayed 4 hours yesterday. I got 4 calls from the airlines. Every time they had an AI picking up a call and calling me, telling me your flight is delayed by 1 hour. Please press 1 to confirm you've listened to my message. And phone, they again call you back. There's not a person, telecaller out there making those calls. It's an AI sitting out there that is retrieving the data of the airlines, of your individual number, if your profile, where you're flying from, how long is the flight delayed, and then there is calls being sent out to all these hundreds of people that are flights delayed or on time or scheduled. So AI is going to take all of these roles, but that doesn't mean a telecaller role is going to go away. It's just that they're going to be more further improvised in some other customer service where human interactions are required. Yeah, that's around AI.
But just to add, please don't carry it away by these jargons. A couple of years back, we had similar jargons. It became part of our life. Same thing is going to happen. So I was talking to a university. I run faculty development program in engineering domain. I asked them, why did you start this BTech course in AI? 5 years down the line, who will hire these kids? Because that time it will be a generic skill. Whereas if you would have been teaching students on computer science, still that student would have been employable. That he was thinking, and he finally said, did we make a mistake? I said, you already made a mistake. So don't get carried away by these things. Only thing is, you should not have tech phobia. Embrace the technology. It is part of way of life for us. Maybe he can add further on that.
The discussion is around AI. I'm currently doing my MTech in AI, so I can pitch in some words here. So AI as a field is too huge and humongous. The output of AI is basically tools. Why do we need tools? Anyone can answer that. To help us, right? So basically we are building tools. So back in the 90s, we had a tool called computers. Did that replace people? No, right? It did not. After that, there was a internet boom. Did that replace people? No. What was that? It helped us. It's a tool. Right now, we've got the new set of tools that would help us. So we are all going to be here. The jobs are going to be here. These are all going to help us. These are the tools that are going to help us do our jobs better. So as we are improving in our quality of life, we are also improving in the quality of work that we do. So these are all new tools that are good to have with us, but we would need to use them with management skills so that we could improve our business, right? So AI and DS are here to stay and here to help you out. So they are not to take away the jobs from you.
See, AI, it's a journey of an organization. I mean, you cannot just directly implement an AI, as Shinto mentioned in the starting, right? There are different components of analytics that you go through. And once you reach to a certain level, you have a right data, then only you can have an AI on top of it. Because at the end of the day, AI works on data, right? So people do think, and this is it's really nice that this crowd is asking me this question. I face that indirect question in the organization. background, this chap has come up, he'll implement some new technology, and tomorrow what I'm doing right now will get eliminated. Probably my job is at stake. And remember, those stakeholders whom I'm dealing, they are like 40, 42 years old, right? Or in the age group of 40, 45. Learning a new technology for them, it's a little bit difficult compared to us. So I always go with the statement, new technology make you smarter. It doesn't eliminate you. Think today with the Zomatos and Swiggy, we do order the food, right? Which we used to go previously order from the restaurant. Has it not given more jobs to the people who are serving us? Right? Today, delivery agents are more in demand. So it's definitely going to open up economy for more, better level of jobs. So never going to kill the jobs. That's my take on the technology.
So again, back to basics. MBA is nothing but creating decision makers. Technology will come and go. I have one question to Maya. With this whole world is around technology, everybody is talking, even in the kitchen. That's a discussion point today. Now, how marketing as a domain has got evolved with this tech boom and what opportunities it is creating?
Yeah, thanks, Shinto. I think everyone's talking technology, and marketing also has gone through the whole journey. When I started with advertising, I had actually had relatives telling me, what a glamorous job you have. Must be models and actors, actresses all around, and you're just doing ads. That's what they thought. And I did advertising for 2 years. I did one ad where I actually had models. The rest of the time, there's nothing like that. It's just a perception that people had. And as I went through my journey, and moved into marketing. I mean, today the way marketing has evolved, it's nothing like it was when I started. Everything is about technology now. You need to measure, it has to be measurable. I know when you're studying, a lot of you said your BBA, right? So you know about measurable goals, time-bound goals, ROI. You would have heard that term as well. It's all about your return on investment. And now we have all these tools, like, that's the right word. And we say there's marketing automation now. Everything is being measured. So if you put an ad, if you hold an event, if you do some sort of a campaign, it's just not how good it looks, right? It's all about how you can measure it. So there's a whole lot of marketing automation tools nowadays, and that's where technology has come in. And we have jobs actually called marketing operations specialists, where they're measuring how many leads we get out of it. We are able to track, have we touched this customer before? What is his buyer's journey? Where has he gone? What has he bought? Should I have these five touch points happen? And I don't want to get too technical about that. But overall, this high technology in all our decision making now. We don't just look at something and look how beautiful it is and decide what we're going to do. If it's not showing results, we stop there and we have to change course. The CMO is now part of the executive committee. They actually have to talk about where they're taking this company. You own the brand, you own the messaging, and it's very quantitative now and not just qualitative.
But to add to that, this tech boom, it is not only happening in marketing, even other domains also. You go to HR, many people say HR as a domain will disappear. I totally disagree. As far as human beings are there, that domain will continue. So what would happen is the conventional, the HR partner, end-to-end HR activities which people used to do, that probably will get automated. Most of the things. But then we have the second line of opportunities we call the specialized jobs like recruitment. There also tech enablement will happen, but we need recruiters. And that job function cannot be replaced. Learning and development manager. We still have somebody, but then he will have, instead of handling 50 people, he will have probably 1,000 people the same person might handle. In my organization, 6 years back, my team was handling only India. Today, another 9 more countries get added. 5 are under discussion. Probably the same team will do it as we increase the automation. So this is the world of opportunities. So my only request is, please become tech savvy. Irrespective of the subjects what you study, technology is going to be the backbone. Don't develop tech phobia. If anybody is having tech phobia, you are out of, you can't survive. So use technology for your advantage. Make sure that it doesn't drive you. You should be driving technology. Where we go wrong is we let technology to take over us. Draw a line. Make sure that we are still in control. After all, we are managements, right? We are supposed to manage technology, not the other way. We have one silent person sitting on that corner. I am waiting for her treat. After she got placed in, if I'm correct, Goldman Sachs. Yes. So let's hear from him two things. One is she spoke about ROI. So for the time and money what you invested in Christ, did you get the right ROI? Right? I'm sure you. And the second question is, what's your plan? Next 2 years. Don't tell me you're going to get married. So let's hear from her.
So coming to the ROI, first starting with the opportunity that I got. I initially interned with Goldman Sachs, which is an opportunity I got through the School of Business and Management, and which has now been converted into a pre-placement offer where I'll be working with them in the coming months. So on the ROI front, definitely it is a cost-effective program compared to other competing colleges. So I'm happy with the return that I've made and the opportunity I've got from the School of Business and Management for me to learn and upskill myself. And the second question was on what I'll be doing in the coming years. So we know how volatile the industry is. Every day, new technology, new skills keep coming up. So I'm focused on upskilling myself and moving with the industry rather than lacking behind and sticking with my basics or what I've learned 2 years back. So my focus will be on learning new skills that makes me in par with fresh peers that come up 2 years later who have the updated skills. So I think everyone should focus on polishing and molding themselves and upskilling themselves.
Good evening, panelists. So I had two questions. One of it was, notice the number of graduates, the MBA graduates these days, it's comparatively high compared to a few years ago. So is MBA becoming too much of a generalized course? Is it that every a job candidate out there has an MBA, and how does it help us stand out? If we have an MBA, what else skills should we have to stand out? And another question was, every graduate right now, what we are talking about is the upcoming recession. So how much is it gonna affect us?
If you ask me the same question, more discussed in the engineering domain, right? More than the MBAs. I work in the engineering space. So there also, we have seen a lot of premier institutes producing still, companies are asking for more and more skilled engineers. There's no shortage of that demand. The same way in the management domain also, still a lot of managers are required, but not just a manager. That is where the challenge is. Having an MBA degree is not the way. First, where you have studied, that matters a lot in the beginning. After what you start your journey, no one cares. Like Angad said, you are the brand, not your institute. So in the beginning, it matters. Second, how open are you in terms of practically implementing the concepts what you studied? Having a good score in your academic, if you think that is going to help in your corporate world or anywhere as a management professional, you are in the wrong place. This course, probably you need an average performance as far as your academics are concerned. I'm more interested in your interpersonal skills, your leadership skills, your ability to show emotional intelligence, not just your IQ, your AQ, your resilience quotient, your social quotient, right? So you as a personality, that's more important. Subject knowledge, okay, you need it, but still you can manage. You know how I do it? I got functional experts around me. 8 to 10 experts around me. As far as that is there, I can still run the show. But more important is my ability to lead people, stand up when there is a crisis. That's very important. And Indians are known for it. You know why Indians are booming across the globe as managers and corporate leaders? Our ability to crisis. We have the resilience quotient built in. It's our DNA. I deal a lot with, Angad deal with Westerners regularly. When something goes wrong, now they start shaking, most of the people. For us, childhood olds, we are used to problems. Or a problem hai. We know how to handle it. And we are very adaptable to situations, different cultures, we are open. So whatever good things what we have as an Indian, build it. It is an asset. Don't think that, the only area where you need to be working on is build on your confidence level. We in general are, because I deal my people across the globe, we train first our managers how to stand up confidently in front of a man from the Europe or from the US side. We are very good here. Nobody can beat us. But that confidence level to defend your arguments and convincing somebody that I'm equally good, my arguments are correct, that makes you, someone who will stand out. And that is there, you are there. Anybody else?
I'll just have my 2 cents there. Part of it is all the things that Shinto has mentioned is important, but how do you get that? I came from a very small town. I had never experienced. I think the only way to do it is by making mistakes and doing it again next time, partially correct to 100% correct. Now, how do you make mistakes? That's what I said. I think I can say proudly, maximum number of internships during my 2-year course. I remember there was a joke going around in first year. If you had to do a project, go to Angad, Andy. He'll get you something on there to work where you'll get to talk to somebody in corporate and do a project for a month or two. So that gave me so many mistakes that I made or eventually succeeded in completing some of the projects. For all the skills that Shinto mentioned, you could experiment where you stand. And then one very important thing Maya mentioned was you get a clarity of thought at where your skill sets lie and where you can go ahead and build your career around. So if in those 2 years of your MBA, no matter how many millions of MBAs come after you or before you, if you can figure out for yourself, where do your skill sets lie, where do you want to specialize in your future careers as you go about it within that skill set, and how you constantly upskill yourself, as she mentioned, and be flexible enough to try something else which is coming your way in your corporate life. Now that could be while you're doing a finance subject, or it could be an HR subject, or it could be an operations subject, or it could be a marketing, sales. There are like 9 subjects. Can you do one set of project in each of them and then be flexible enough to bundle it up for your own knowledge to see where you stand, what's your interest lies? You would be far away from MBAs along with you or after you. And if that goes out, corporate would love to have you as one of their key asset in the company.
Can I just add one more thing? Is why do an MBA as against graduation? You say if there are 1,000 MBAs coming out, there are 5,000 graduates coming out, right? So you're going to be even less competitive at that level. So when we are hiring and we are weeding out the hundreds of resumes that we see, when you see an MBA, you know they did a graduation and now they spent 2 more years honing some skills. And really, I don't expect an MBA, like I said, coming in and giving this great value or coming and doing a turnaround strategy in the company. But it's somebody who invested 2 more years to actually find out what they want to do in life. And they just get a little bit of business grounding, a little bit of business experience before they step into the corporate world. And so I would say, yes, an MBA does help you.
Add to that, he spoke about risk-bearing attitude. That's very important to try out, fail, learn from that. Another important aspect which you need to look at is we are all brands. Believe me, you as an individual, if you are looking at your management career, build it as a brand. Brand driven by your value system. Because after some time, what happens is, institution is not going to stand behind you. It's you. So one observation common which I am seeing with the current generation is, kuch bhi karo, get things done. Now, with that approach, there's something called win at any cost attitude. My sincere request, please don't try it out. What happens is when you try this, initially you might see some success, but in that process, you are actually spoiling your brand among your peer employees, colleagues in the corporate world. You build a big brand, a reputed brand. You can. There's nothing stops you. It might require a little bit of extra sweating. That's okay. Wait little more years, nothing is going to happen. So sweat it extra, no problem. Don't compromise on your value system. If you ask me, that's one thing which I found very much in this institution. You won't believe. So make sure that, don't give up your value system. At the end of the day, that's what counts. 40 years, 50 years. Why I'm saying is, at this age, I get a lot of reference checks. When people are considered for CXO profiles, they hire external people. They hire external people. Shinto, looks like this guy is connected with you a lot in LinkedIn. What is your opinion? And that's the time I'm telling you, companies are very serious. They go all out to invest on somebody's background check. When you're about to get a next big thing in your career, that's the time somebody gives a spook on your background. Is it worth? No. So build on your value system, it will pay off. Any more questions?
My name is Simran and I'm currently pursuing Bachelor of Commerce. So of late there are courses like Masters in Management, which is becoming increasingly popular, and they barely require any work ex, and even if they require any work ex, it's only 1 year. And many of them have termed Masters in Management as a substitute for MBA. So do you think the demand for an MBA is going down?
This is not a trend in India. Mostly you can see in Europe, they call it MSc, okay? Management, they call it called MIS, right? That MIM. Yeah, that is a 1 year course. Broadly, it comes under so-called MSc. In US, they call it MS, right? MS, they call it. Now, these two are two different thought process. Typically, people who are going in those countries I'm talking about, they don't have work experience. They straight away, after their degree graduation, they straight away go for that. In those countries, most of the people who are going for MBAs, they go with work experience, mostly, right? That's the trend which I'm seeing. Whereas in India, that trend is yet to pick up. Still, the MBAs are winning the battle. Now, what is on the way? My prediction is, because I spend a lot of time in the skilling space, what is on the way is shorter the courses, longer the time you will be spending on credit courses in future, right? I work with 1 or 2 virtual varsities where I'm helping them in designing short courses, 1 month, 2 month courses. So he comes from the executive MBA background, right? He would not spend time on, in future studying a 3 year. For example, things like PhDs undergo a drastic change in the coming years. If you look at NEP right now, even though the 4 year course they're talking about, the structure is totally different. You can enter, your exit, so a lot of disruptions you will see. As of now, if you ask me, if you're a fresh graduate, go for MBA in Indian context. Now, if you have a plan to go abroad, you can explore, but think twice. When you're going abroad, my sincere request, please do your homework properly, because it's a trap. My first explanation about foreign education in Indian context, it's a trap for many. They take huge loans, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, go abroad and study some useless universities. Who is advertising this? Does Harvard or Oxford or any of those London business school, do they come and advertise in India? They don't do any promotion. Who is actually doing this promotion? The worst universities in those countries. So make sure that you pick up a good university. Otherwise, you can even look at, for example, here in Christ itself, we have this, if I'm correct, Virginia University. You have an MS program, MBA MS program. You can that. So what will happen in such situation is probably your total outflow, that ROI part, according to me, somewhere around 25 to 30 lakhs, you can run the whole show. Because when you shell out 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, without no guarantee, you could explore such programs where, there is some guarantee, at least the university like Christ would have done a vetting before signing up with those kind of people, right? So that's an route you can explore, that, go with at least some known university. Unknown fellows, just for the sake of, many of them get into the trap in the name of migration. But in most of the countries, believe me, migration is a question mark right now. Only very few countries are allowing you to migrate in the name of when you're going under higher education. The time they're giving off even for work number of hours what you spend in UK, countries like UK is also getting restricted. So please do your homework. That's all about my suggestion. Any other questions?
So my question is on the lines of the same one. So all of us want to crack IIM and everything, but realistically, not all of us will make it. So supposing me after doing BBA, I want to get into business and management. So as recommend me to do an MBA from a tier 2, tier 3 MBA college in India, or look at alternative courses such as masters in management, masters in marketing management, things like that?
My answer would be, when I was here in 95, I was a big fan of Aishwarya Rai. Aishwarya Rai. Okay. Finally, I realized that, I can't reach that much. So finally, I settled for an Aishwarya Rai in this campus. So it is something similar. Your aspiration to go to IIM is great. I appreciate it. But can we get into that? If you try it, well and good. So like that, I gave it to our Bachchan. Same situation will happen. So think twice. If you get it, take it. But plan B is something, a reasonably reputed institution where there is a successful track record of placement. Give priority to placement also. Because at the end of the day, after MBA, I have interviewed so many people, I'm telling you, man, at the end of the interview, I told them, without MBA, I would have taken you. Without MBA, I would have taken you. MBA has spoiled you. So select a good institute which has got a reasonably good placement track record. So here, actually, I have the records as far as Christ placements are concerned. Reasonably good. Probably for the number what we have, one of the best placement track record. Before I took a decision on my daughter, these are things which I would look at. So do that homework. Any institution you choose, do your homework properly. Talk to the alumni. What is that? Don't go by the university says. Talk to the alumni. What is the placement? Where they are working? LinkedIn, you spend some time, na? Easily you can find enough number of people in any university today. I don't have to tell you, right?
Let me add on to what Shinto sir said, right? So don't just look at your first career, no? So look at career that you would have for, say, 55, as long as you're old, right? Maybe 75. So what value does a master's in management bring versus an MBA brings, right? So as folks here told about your brand is more significant when you have an MBA versus a master's in management. I hope that would answer that question, right? So, so even if you are shortlisting candidates for future jobs, for lateral entries, not for freshers, for lateral entries, you look at that degree that you have an MBA versus a master's in management, that counts. So even if you are looking at masters in management, say from Italy or Canada, and you land a job there, what about the future career, right? Think about it. So say 3 years later, once you are in the career, you would have an opportunity in LinkedIn. And it says preferred qualifications, management, and in the bracket, it would be MBA, right? So think about it.
I'll add my own example. 2009, first time CAT went online, right? I was that batch. And I scored, I think, 99.9 percentile in math. On the way back to my home, that time I saw in the train, the result was out. And I was in the campus selection in that process. February, the result came. The result was delayed that time because there were a lot of glitches in CAT. I gave CAT 4 times. I don't know what result I got, and it was which CAT result exam that I got. Was that the first, second, third, or fourth? And I still cried. My parents said, guys, I mean, you are a crazy guy. You have already booked your fees, your seat. And how do you care now from the CAT exam? Because I had aspirations with it. No matter if the result would have been, let's say, 90 plus in CAT, which I didn't get it, I would have been even happy even booking my seat with Christ that time. But when I got landed in Mindtree after my placement, we had a batch of 30 people. In that 30 people batch, I had 12 people who were from IIMs. And that made me an equal opportunity when I landed there. And then I never regretted that why I should not have been into other college. And after that, it's your own journey that you pave your own path. So that's a short answer to it.
I'll just add one thing, and let's be very honest and transparent. Even I had the similar experience of having the IM guys in our batch. They were paid more. There's no doubt in it. Okay? In the same course, same program, they were paid more. But after that, it is a run of individual skills. You might start at a 20% hike, 30% hike. Then, but then when you're on the roll, the responsibilities are same. And you are expected to give the results from there. Okay, so that I remember very vaguely, thanks bringing it up. It was the same. 2 years down the line, they didn't care where you came from. It came as what you did in last 2 years in that company, in that organization.
My name is Amrit. This question is directed to Andy, sir, since you spoke the most about HR. So I am planning to take a gap year, and I'm interested in doing MBA in HR. So my question is that what are some things that I could do in my gap year that would help me during while pursuing the MBA degree or in my career?
I think that is where the MBA comes into picture. Tells you what to do, but that's okay. It's always good to explore yourself by also doing a job. It pays and also gives you an idea of where you would like to fall in the HR department. If we break down an HR department into maybe 4 or 5 areas, you can pick one or you can hop around these depending on the company. If it's a small company, they can give you an exposure to all of it. Just silo it out to you one department. So one of them, which is easy to find a job and get in the foot in the door, is recruitment. I'm just telling it because it's by share requires more people on a job, yeah, and it is always going to be in demand because of the way India is growing. There's going to be demand for people to be recruited, and they need good recruitment. So a recruitment trainee, as a fresher, you can definitely get into it, and then comes other things like performance reviews, appraisals, HR operations. So there are HR analytics. So there could be anything that can fall into an HR department. And in a smaller company, they might have just a small department where everybody has to do everything. In a larger company, they might have heads for all of them, and they have key set of processes that is laid down in which you have to follow those processes in the HR department. That's my take of it, and that's how I operate my company. We have around 25 people in HR and operations, and they're leading different departments there, and they fall into these buckets typically. The challenge we face is always how do we set processes as we scale. So each department has their own challenges in HR to set up processes, document it, put IT behind it. Without IT, it doesn't really work. And that is something also you can pursue as a career is IT HR. I think that is also going to expand because technology is going to creep into every department, and there are going to be folks required who understands HR processes and then also understands IT and bed them together with certain tools that are in the market for usage.
I'll add one more thing. HR as a profession, you should have a passion for human beings. That's the fundamental thing. Like, if you take nursing as a career, you should have a caring attitude towards human beings. Otherwise, you should not get into that profession. Same way, I've seen many HR people, they don't care about human beings. So, eventually, you don't enjoy the job. If you end of the day, I always say when you're planning a career, you should have a purpose for your life. Link that purpose for your life back to whatever action plan you're putting in. So, if you think you like building people and they're growing, that gives you satisfaction, that's the area for you. And again, one more myth is HR is not for HR professionals alone. If you really want to climb the corporate ladder as a leader, you should be an HR person. 90% of the managers who report to me, they are with me for the last 14, 15 years. They are my asset. They are my asset. I'm able to sit here because of those people. So if you really want to grow as a business leader, build your HR skills to mentor leaders around you. Fundamental HR skill. All of us are here sitting because of that basic skill we have. Our juniors are sweating for us. So it's for all. HR is for all. I mean, don't think that it is only for HR professionals. One more question? Yeah.
So I had two questions. The first is, see a lot of students go to places like London and taking MBA right after their degree and all. So first thing is like when they come back to India, I have heard people say that when they have done their MBA abroad, they have more preference when it comes to pay and things here. So if I want to know, as a student, if I'm studying here, like in the real corporate world, how the things are, whether do they have a preference, or are we also in a position where we can, get to that whatever that competitive level. And the second thing is from a finance expert background, like a course like doing a course like ACCA or CA, usually an accountant or a chartered accountant, we always in the corporate, we have the back end of the office handled with accounts, taxation and all. The chances for us to come in the front end is less likely to happen. So if I am coming in that field, because I'm from BCom F&A, coming through that way, if I'm doing a course like MBA and having some qualification like a semi-qualified CA or ACCA, how effective or how helpful will it be in the long run?
Believe me, guys, I work for a UK company, keep shuttling there. Nearly one third of the universities in UK, you can't even tell their name anywhere. Substandard compared to even our average university here. If you get it from a good university, fine. But look at where are they going. Majority of the students are going to these substandard universities. If Indian students are not going there, those universities will be shut. Don't tell this to my management there. They watch this video, it's a reality, right? Now that is an area, I'm not nothing against London or anybody. It's purely value for money, either from employer perspective or your perspective. Now coming back to your, the next question, you are 100% right. Most of the time, a CA guy is much more qualified subject-wise, but MBAs rules them. It's a reality. So build up your other, in my previous thing I told, build up your leadership skills, your social skills, your planning skills to execute and stand up, build your brand. That will take you further, because even in MBA, that is a polishing. I have done sessions for MBA students in finance, share under my sessions. I was telling them the same thing, you are a brand. Build that brand. Just because of your finance knowledge, nobody is going to give you, a recognition at some point of time. That's required in the beginning. After that, you need to build your brand. How many of you are there in LinkedIn right now? If it is not there, open an account, start building your brand building today itself.
I just had one small other thing to say. So I hope you would have learnt about the 3 P's of performance management, right? Can anyone say what are those 3 P's? Anybody? Okay, I would help with the first one, purpose. The second one is process. And the third one is people. So to answer the questions that generally have been majorly asked, right? So irrespective of the MBA degree or the management in Masters in Management degree, the semi-CA degree, at the end of the day, it is your branding. So it is all boils down to what is the purpose that you have, how well you are executing that purpose, what is the process you follow, how well you have followed that process, and the people around you. So whom are you networking with, right? So if you follow these 3 P's, you are on the way up in the ladder of the corporate life.
I think we had a pretty long discussion, right? Time passed like anything. As I promised, there was no PPTs, no lengthy talks. It was all about interaction. We also learned. We also got some very interesting questions from each one of you. That shows that you are really committed about becoming a great decision maker. MBA is all about that. And as our panelists, you should really appreciate. The one guy has come all the way from US. We just caught him, right? They all have their commitments on professional world. When I asked them, they said, we are there. That's the kind of commitment they have as an alumni. Maya from the first batch to 2011, 2012, even from the just passing out person. So that's what bring us here, right? For me, I'm almost every week I come here. So that's the kind of bonding we have built with our institution. One who studied here probably will go out with the same feeling that you gain something. I previously I told, right? End of the day, the value system makes everything. Money, according to me, will come and go. You will visit my LinkedIn profile, you will learn more about what will happen in my life. But today, if I am bouncing back in my professional life, just because of one aspect, I didn't compromise on my value system, kept there, invested on my brand, both in terms of learning and development. Each one of them are doing the same thing on a day-to-day basis. So we request you to follow the same pattern, no shortcuts. MBA, you might start off as a specialization course, nothing wrong in that, but keep an eye on greater heights. Make sure that you learn MBA as a horizontal subject, because to take decisions at a later time, you would need law, you would need finance, you need HR, you need, as a human being, as a decision maker. Please don't think that lifelong you be a marketeer and you want to head an organization. Not going to happen. So you ask Maya, as a marketeer, she probably would know the budgeting more than anybody else. How much money you're going to throw and what is the ROI coming back? That's the first question her boss will ask. You ask Angad, same thing. I'm going to put my money and resources, when are going to recover that money back? His marketing skill is not going to help him. You have an analytics guy who came from different background, but end of the day, if analytics is not going to give ROI to his bosses, his job is at stake. We have an IT guy who helps organizations to run his back end, but he's concerned about his career, as how to grow up in his career as a management professional, not just techie alone, right? Here is somebody who, Anita, who wants to build her career on a long-term basis. We wish her all the best. I'm sure keep up the same attitude. So my sincere request is keep the same thing. You learned what we do, and we have nothing to hide. You go through their LinkedIn profile, follow them what they're doing, and also watch, are they walking the talk on a day-to-day basis. So wish you guys all the best. I'm sure you will all do well in your life. Somewhere down the line, probably you will recollect this same discussion, because when you start questioning yourself, am I doing the right thing? Did I do the right thing? At that point, you might recollect. The same video will be there in YouTube at that time also. Thank you, guys.
Thankfulness is the beginning of gratitude. Gratitude is the completion of the thankfulness. Thankfulness may consist merely of words, but gratitude is shown in actions. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Father Abraham VM, Pro Vice Chancellor, Father Joe Cece, the Registrar, Dr. Anil Pinto, the Controller of Examination, Dr. Joni Joseph, the Dean of School of Business and Management, Dr. Jane Matthew, the Associate Dean of School of Business and Management, Dr. Georgie Kurian, and the Head of Department of MBA, Professor Sirish CV, and Professor Krishna MC. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who blessed us with their presence. I would like to thank our special guests, Ms. Maya Kulas, Mr. Vishal Lakmani, Mr. Andy Singh, Mr. Anwin Varghese, and Ms. Anita Joan for giving us in-depth insights on aspirations and expectations from management education, and also for patiently clarifying our doubts and queries. Thank you, panelists. I would also like to thank Mr. Shinto Joseph for moderating the panel discussion with such zeal. I would like to extend my gratitude to our faculty coordinators, Dr. Jacob Joseph, Dr. Elizabeth Chakko, Dr. Sri Lakshmi, and other faculty members from School of Business and Management for their guidance and facilitation support in steering this insightful panel discussion successfully. On behalf of Christ deemed to be university, I take this opportunity to also thank and acknowledge gratitude towards Center for Placement and Career Guidance, the organizers, participants, Alumni Executive Committee team members, and also those who have contributed in their own capacities to the successful culmination of this great event with their cohesive planning. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Aishwarya Nambiar, our student coordinator, for today's event. I would also like to thank the auditorium coordinators, Mr. Sudarshan and the team for the venue facilitation.